All right, welcome to your personalized deep dive. Getting ready for that Mouldmaker interview. We're going to dive into RoleCatcher's resources so you can totally nail it. Think of it kind of like fine-tuning a super powerful engine, making sure everything's running perfectly for peak performance.
Ooh, I like that analogy. It really does kind of capture that whole precision and skill you need for this kind of work.
Exactly. We'll do a quick overview of the Mouldmaker world first. Then we're going to spend most of our time, really dissecting those interview questions and figuring out how to craft some winning answers.
And of course, we can't forget about RoleCatcher's AI. We'll definitely touch on how that can be your secret weapon.
For sure. So let's set the stage here. What exactly does a mold maker do? Imagine you're in this foundry, right? Surrounded by molten metal. It's kind of chaotic, but in a controlled way. You're the one making those molds that shape the metal into engine parts, tools, even like intricate art pieces. It's this cool blend of craftsmanship and industrial precision.
And you know what's so fascinating about this field? It's constantly evolving with new materials and technologies, which means there's a real need for skilled people, just like you.
Which means there's a real opportunity for growth and potentially a good salary. Now, before we jump into those interview questions, let's talk about RoleCatcher's AI for a sec. It's not just giving you information, it actually analyzes job descriptions and helps you like tailor your resume and application.
It's like having an expert, like, scan your resume and spot any skills you might be missing, and compare it to what the job actually requires. And in today's world, with all those automated systems, that kind of optimization can really make or break you.
Absolutely. And with the Copilot AI subscription, it even tailors your cover letter, optimizes your applications, and gives you feedback on practice videos for the interview. Imagine walking into that interview knowing you've got AI on your side.
It's all about taking out the guesswork and using data-driven insights, giving you a real edge.
All right, let's get to the good stuff, the interview. Our first question is, can you explain your experience in operating mold making equipment? Now, they don't just want to hear a list of machines you've used.
Right, right. They want to hear about your hands-on expertise, like imagine you're teaching someone else how to use that equipment. What are those little nuances, those tricks you learn from experience that you can't get from a manual?
And remember to quantify your results. Like, did you find a way to be more efficient? Reduce waste. Solve a tricky problem. Think about a specific project where your skills really shone.
Like, for instance, in my last job, I noticed we kept having problems with the sand mixer. So I adjusted the blade angle and the mixing time, and you know what? I was able to reduce waste by 10%. And the consistency of the sand was way better.
Perfect. You've shown them you're not just, pushing buttons. You're actually thinking about how to make things better.
And that kind of initiative is really valuable, especially as a mold maker.
Okay, next question. How do you troubleshoot problems during the mold making process? This one is all about showing off those analytical skills.
Exactly. Every mold maker runs into challenges, right? It's all about how you approach them. What they're really asking is, can we trust you to think on your feet and solve problems on your own?
And that's where the STAR method comes in.
Yeah.
Remember, situation, task, action, result. Have a good example ready that shows how you solve problems, step by step. For instance, let's say you're working on a mold and you notice a defect that just keeps popping up.
Right. Walk us through it. What was the defect? What did you do to figure out what was causing it?
Maybe you really scrutinize the mold or check the technical manuals or even like ask some colleagues for their input. The important thing is to show them that you're methodical and that you can think critically even under pressure.
And don't forget to mention the positive outcome. Did you improve the quality of the molds? Or maybe speed up production?
Absolutely. By actually measuring the results, you turn a simple story into like a powerful example of your skills and initiative.
And you know what's really cool? RoleCatcher's AI can help you refine those answers even more. You can actually type in your responses and it'll analyze them and give you feedback on the wording, the structure, even the content. It's like having a personal editor for your interview responses.
That's amazing. Okay, here's a question that really lets you shine. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies in mold making?
This one's all about passion and taking initiative. It's your chance to show them that you're truly interested in the field and that you're committed to always learning and growing.
Right. Mention specific resources you follow, like, Modern Casting Magazine, industry websites, or even online courses you've taken.
You could even talk about being involved in professional organizations like the American Foundry Society. It shows you're really engaged with the community and want to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to share what excites you about the future of mold making. Maybe you're fascinated by 3D printing, or using new composite materials. Let your enthusiasm shine through.
Enthusiasm is contagious. It shows the interviewer that you're not just looking for any job. You're looking to contribute and grow in a field you're really passionate about.
Okay, let's switch gears for a second and talk about a question that can throw people off.
Yeah.
Can you describe a time when you failed? No one likes to talk about their failures, but this is actually a chance to show off your resilience and your ability to learn from your mistakes.
You know, everyone makes mistakes. It's all about what you do afterward. So pick a specific example and walk them through it using that STAR method. What went wrong? What did you learn from it?
And here's the most important part. How did you use what you learned to do better on future projects? Maybe you started using a checklist or got some extra training to improve your skills. The key is to show them you're not afraid to own your mistakes and turn them into, opportunities to grow.
Exactly. It shows them that you're not just skilled, but also self-aware and always looking for ways to improve.
All right, one last question before we wrap up this part. This one focuses on how adaptable you are. Could you explain your experience in working with different types of materials for mold making?
This is where you can really showcase how versatile you are and your understanding of materials. Remember all those different sand types we talked about earlier? Now's your time to shine.
Totally. Talk about the specific properties of each material and how that influences your choices when you're making molds.
For example, silica sand is known for its high refractoriness, which makes it perfect for high temperature casting. But zircon sand, that offers better dimensional stability and a smoother surface finish.
So don't just list the materials you've worked with, okay? Explain why you chose those materials for specific projects. Maybe you needed a mold that could handle extreme temperature changes, or a super smooth finish was really important.
By connecting those material properties to what the project needed, you're showing them you really understand the craft.
And that's what sets you apart as a skilled and knowledgeable mold maker.
All right, welcome back. We covered a lot in the first part, but let's keep going with more interview prep.
Yep, and remember, we're not just, giving you the answers here. We're showing you how to think about these questions so you can handle anything they throw at you. It's like learning a new language. Once you get the grammar down, you can express yourself.
I like that. Okay, let's talk about safety. One question you'll probably get is, how do you make sure you and everyone else stay safe during the mold making process?
And this isn't just about checking boxes. They want to see that you really get safety and understand the risks involved in this kind of work. I mean, you're dealing with molten metal, heavy machinery, sometimes dangerous materials. It's serious stuff.
So when you answer this one, think about those safety rules you always follow, without fail. Do you always wear your PPE? What about lockout procedures when you're doing maintenance on machines?
Those are really important. You got to make sure the machine doesn't accidentally start up while someone's working on it. Speaking of equipment, let's talk about a question that dives into your technical know-how. How do you maintain mold-making equipment to keep it running at its best?
This is where you can show them you understand the machinery and that you're proactive about maintenance. Think about those routine things you do. Cleaning, lubrication, checking all the important parts. Do you keep a log of all the maintenance you do? Have you ever spotted a problem and fixed it before it turned into a disaster?
Those are all great points. A well-maintained machine is a safe machine, right? And thinking about safety again, what about the materials you use? Different types of sand, binders, coatings, they can all have their own safety issues.
You're absolutely right. Some materials might aid special ventilation or handling procedures. Take silica sand, for instance. It's commonly used, but it creates fine dust that can be really harmful if you breathe it in. You gotta have good respiratory protection and ways to control the dust.
So when you're talking about your experience with different materials, don't forget to mention those safety precautions you take. It shows them you're not just focused on getting the job done, but that you care about everyone's well-being.
And speaking of materials, a question you might get is, can you tell me about your experience working with different types of molds? This is your chance to show how versatile and adaptable you are.
It's like being a chef who can cook all sorts of different cuisines. Think about all the different kinds of molds you've worked with. Sand molds, plaster molds, ceramic molds, even 3D printed ones. Each type has its own challenges and uses.
And don't forget about the materials you use to make those molds. We already talked about silica sand, but there's also zircon sand, chromite sand, and all sorts of binders and coatings. Each material has its own special properties.
Exactly. So when you're answering this question, think about why you chose a particular mold type and material for a project. Was it super important to get the dimensions exactly right? Did you need a mold that could handle really high temperatures? Or maybe the finish had to be perfectly smooth?
By explaining how your choices matched what the project needed, you're showing them you have a deep understanding of the craft.
Now let's talk about teamwork. A question that often comes up is, can you describe a time when you had to work with a team to solve a problem during the mold making process?
Mold making is rarely a solo job, you know. You're usually working with engineers, designers, foundry workers, quality control folks. This question is all about showing how well you work with others and contribute to a team.
Right. And remember, it's not just about describing the problem itself. It's about what you did as part of the team, how you communicated, and how you helped find a solution. Think about a time when a project hit a snag. Maybe the mold design needed some changes, or production got backed up.
What did you do to help? Did you come up with a creative solution? Did you take the lead in talking to other team members?
By showing them you can collaborate and solve problems as part of a team, you prove you're a well-rounded professional. And hey, don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can help you organize your answers so they have the biggest impact. It's like having a personal coach guiding you through every step of getting ready for the interview.
Okay, let's talk about a question that sometimes makes people nervous. What are your salary expectations?
Ah, yes, the money question. It can be a little awkward, but RoleCatcher has some great info on salary ranges for mold makers, based on things like location, experience, and the size of the company. It's a great place to start your research.
And remember, your worth as a mold maker depends on your skills, your experience, and what the specific job requires. Be ready to explain why you're worth what you're asking for based on your qualifications and what other people in similar roles are making.
And don't forget, talking about salary is a normal part of getting a job. Be confident and ready to have a conversation about what you bring to the table.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up this part, let's think about career advancement for a bit. Acing the interview is just the first step, right? It's good to think about your long-term goals and how you want to grow in this field.
That's where RoleCatcher's Career Compass tool comes in. It maps out different career paths based on your skills and what you're interested in, so you can see what growth opportunities are out there in the mold-making world. You can become a supervisor, a manager, even start your own business. Lots of exciting possibilities.
And let's not forget about constantly learning. Staying on top of the latest industry trends and technologies is so important for your career growth. Whether you're attending workshops, getting certifications, or just being curious and reading industry publications, there's always something new to learn.
Absolutely. It's all about investing in yourself and showing that you're committed to being the best you can be. Remember that entry-level mold maker we talked about earlier? Imagine them 10 years from now, leading a team, mentoring new people, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible in mold making. It's a journey of growth, mastery, and innovation.
And that's what makes this career so rewarding. So as we finish up this part, remember, this is just the beginning of your journey. With the right attitude, good preparation, and a little help from RoleCatcher's AI, you can accomplish amazing things in the world of mold making.
Welcome back for the final part of our Mouldmaker interview deep dive.
Yeah.
Man, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From all those details of mold making to those tough interview questions.
We even talked about some potential career paths and how important it is to never stop learning.
Exactly. And now it's time to, unveil that secret weapon we've been talking about, RoleCatcher's AI.
It's not just a tool, it's more like having your own career strategist right there with you.
Okay, I got to hear more about this. How does this AI actually work?
Picture this. You upload your resume, your work history, even those projects you're super proud of, and RoleCatcher's AI. It gets to work analyzing your entire career, figuring out what your core skills and strengths are.
So it's not just looking for keywords, it's like understanding the story behind everything you've done.
Exactly. It helps you, connect the dots between your past jobs, your projects, your skills. It turns it all into this compelling story that shows employers what makes you special.
So instead of just listing what I've done, it helps me tell my career story in a way that makes sense to the specific company I'm applying to.
Precisely. It's like tailoring a suit, but for your career. RoleCatcher's AI helps you, tailor your experience to fit each job, highlighting the skills and achievements that matter most.
That makes so much sense, and I bet it's super helpful for those behavioral interview questions like, tell me about a time you failed, or describe a situation where you had to overcome a challenge.
You got it. Those questions can be tough because they're not just about what you know how to do, they're about your personality, how you solve problems, how resilient you are.
And those qualities are, Hard to show on a resume.
Exactly. But with RoleCatcher's AI, you can actually type in those tricky questions, and the AI will analyze your past experiences, prompting you to think about situations that show those qualities.
So it's like having an AI coach helping me remember those aha moments and connect them to what the interviewer is really looking for.
You know that. And it helps you use that STAR method to structure your answers so you're giving clear, concise, impactful responses. It's about showing them you can learn from your experiences, adapt to challenges, and just keep growing as a professional.
Okay, so with RoleCatcher's AI,
Hmm.
I can walk into that interview feeling confident, knowing my resume is top-notch, my answers are strong, and my career story makes sense.
Exactly. It's all about projecting confidence, being yourself, and showing that you're passionate about mold making.
And turning that interview into like a real conversation, leaving a good impression.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we wrap up this Mouldmaker deep dive, let's recap what we've learned. We explored the world of mold making, from the materials and techniques to the skills you need to succeed.
We tackled those tough interview questions, giving you insights and strategies so you can craft those winning answers. And we talked about career paths, stressing how important it is to keep learning and growing professionally.
And of course, we unveiled RoleCatcher's AI as your secret weapon.
It's a game changer, that's for sure. It can help you optimize your resume, polish your answers, and really tell your career story in a way that resonates with employers.
But here's one last thing to think about. What really sparks your interest in mold making? Is it a certain material, a tricky technique, or maybe a new technology that's changing the game?
Dive into that area, research it, explore it, let that passion come out during your interview.
Because enthusiasm is contagious, and it shows the interviewer that you're not just looking for any job, you're looking for a career where you can contribute, learn, and grow.
So go get them, rock that interview, and embrace this amazing world of mold making. We're rooting for you all the way.
Yeah. And hey, don't forget to check out RoleCatcher. It's free, it's personalized, and it'll help you navigate the job market and reach your career goals.